During my time watching the first 2 episodes of Agatha All Along, I did not experience the gay explosion we were all promised. However, I did experience a lame explosion because this is genuinely one of the most meh shows I've ever seen. Hi y'all, SnarkyJay cosplay here. As of the time of this video's recording, Agatha All Along has been out for about 2 days. I ended up watching both episodes back to back yesterday, and to be quite honest, I was not impressed. I also can't say I was particularly offended, but this is another one of those shows that for me, like Ahsoka, I just have no interest in, except it was weirder than Ahsoka. I give the first 2 episodes of Agatha All Along a 4 out of 10, and to be quite honest with you, the only reason the show gets that high of a rating is because I genuinely think Kathryn Hahn is doing too much. She is so good in this role. Anything you give this woman in a script, if she's got to play it over the top, slick, funny, threatening, I think she's fantastic, and I think she brings a certain element of seediness to the character that is so beyond what Disney has given her dialogue-wise and directing-wise. I will say that Disney does seem to be trying to do something different with this, but I think they're also counting entirely too much on how much of an effect WandaVision and Multiverse of Madness had on us. I was somebody who thought Multiverse of Madness was pretty good, but it also wasn't all that memorable in the Marvel lineup, and I'm just not really attached to this Agatha character, and I get that they're in this episode trying to build her up as interesting, and again, Kathryn Hahn's performance is great. She is really fun to watch, but I just don't care. Like, this whole Agatha Harkness, the witches, the covens, I don't understand who asked for this or who this is for, because the dialogue and the pacing kind of gives the vibe that this is made for like wine moms, but as far as I know, wine moms aren't super into Marvel, but this also doesn't feel like it's aimed at like the Marvel fans, because I watched both episodes start to finish. I sat there, I watched them, I took notes, and the entire time I was wondering if my Postmates was getting delivered, what I had to pack for a convention coming up. I mean, my mind kept trying to go other places because the show just wasn't grabbing me. I will say the first episode does kick off in a sort of surprising way that was fun, but then that quickly falls apart and goes back to this witch bullshit that, again, I don't know who it's for. It's not for me. Maybe there's other people that think this show is great. My issues with the show really aren't with it being woke or any of the comments before about the gay explosion, the gayest show you've ever seen. I really don't get any of that from this show, to be honest with you. In the first 2 episodes, there was nothing of the sort. I think they were just trying to build hype and controversy and get us all talking about it before the show released. So to be honest, that is not anywhere near my list of complaints. It's just the pacing isn't great. Some of the other performances are lacking. The dialogue, not really a huge fan of the way it's worked out. And the characters, I mean, Agatha really isn't likable, but Kathryn Hahn makes her fun to watch. Teen and some of the other witches really aren't that fun, which is odd because there's great talent here. I want to point out that Sashir Zamata is in this, and I loved her on SNL. I am going to give this at least another episode or 2, but to be honest, the 4 out of 10 is the best I can give this. I don't plan on doing a full recap, but there will be spoilers from here on out, so with that being said, let's get into it. The first episode basically just takes all its time getting Agatha, or Agnes, out of the spell that Wanda had over the town, pretty much. The episode actually spends most of the time imitating like your typical cop show, which I thought was pretty funny and actually sort of fun. They kind of let Kathryn Hahn play that lady cop thing over the top, which I thought was fun, and so the whole time, Agatha, as Agnes, seems to be sort of sticking to this true crime show thing, except the whole time the world is kind of unraveling around her. We've got Aubrey Plaza as Rio trying to break her out of it, and we also have unnamed Teen who helps her break out of that spell. By the end of the episode, Agnes is now back to Agatha. She's extra pissed off that Wanda still had her under this spell for this long, and we also come to find out that she and Aubrey Plaza's character Rio don't really get along too well. Rio wants her dead. Agatha doesn't really have any powers yet, and so she says, look, come back for me once I've got powers. Agatha and Teen both agree to travel the road, which is known as the Witch's Road. It's basically a road that only witches in Marvel can travel, and if you get to the end of it, which is apparently very difficult to do, you get the thing that you want the most. Agatha wants power. Of course, Teen also wants power because he's studied magic and Gen Z millennial snark, but he has not actually had any power ever. So he wants power, she wants power, and now their goal is to travel the road. To travel the road, what they need to do is assemble a coven, and that brings us right into episode 2. And that's where we start recruiting people. Agatha's reputation precedes her, so pretty much nobody wants to work with her, but eventually we get our cast. Sashir Zameda as Jen, she is the potions witch. We have Patty Lupone as Lilia, she's like a divination witch. And we also end up with Alice, played by Ali An. That's gonna end up being the coven. They all do go to Agatha's house so that they can perform some kind of ritual and open the door to get to the road, but they're missing a witch, and that witch, of course, is Rio. So Agatha ends up roping in some random neighbor. Again, and what I want to point out is that these neighbors were all characters in WandaVision. WandaVision was a very long time ago, and I also didn't like it that much, so I don't remember most of these people. And that's one of the big problems, I think, with Agatha All Along, is that not only is it about a character and parts of Marvel that nobody really gives a shit about, but it also keeps making references to a show that's like, what, 2-3 years old now? It didn't make that big an impression the first time I watched it. How am I supposed to remember any of this now? Anyway, they do some ritual to open the door, and the ritual involves literally singing like a 3-minute song called The Ballad. If I had a nickel for every time I had to listen to a stupid witchy song on a Disney Plus series, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't really a lot, but it's kind of weird that it's happened twice. To be completely honest, I ended up fast forwarding through most of the song, and so the song not only opens the door, but it also apparently summons the Salem 7 who want Agatha dead, random teen who I'm pretty sure is just Billy, that's Wiccan from the comics. He runs away, and they all go through the door together to escape the Salem 7, and that's where the episode ends. They're gonna walk the road together, presumably. I don't know, I'm sure I haven't really done the show a service in making it sound more entertaining, but this is exactly the impression it had on me. I have several pages of notes written right here. This is what I do when I watch these things. I make notes, I write my opinions, I write down what happens so I have a better idea of the recap. And I sat here and I read through this before I came on and did this, and it was just as boring to read as it was to watch. It's not a great show. To be completely honest, I don't know that I'm gonna watch every episode of this at this point, because there are certain things that are like hate watching where you can get mad at like everything that happens on the screen, but this isn't really like an, oh, I'm gonna get mad and this is gonna be my therapy session. It was just honestly lame. It wasn't entertaining. It wasn't fun. I didn't think it was well done. Again, the highlights, Kathryn Hahn, great performance from her, and I do still like Aubrey Plaza. She plays the same person, I think, in almost everything I've seen her in, but I do still like her, so I'm hoping that this picks up some steam, because I understand that the whole witches thing is kind of new for Marvel. It's not new for Disney because they just did The Acolyte, but it's kind of new, so I kind of want to follow down that path, because Werewolf by Night was a very different project for Disney Marvel, and it was great, so maybe Agatha All Along could be that. I don't think it will be, but I'll give it another 2 episodes, and if it doesn't get any better, I'm out. 4 out of 10 for episodes 1 and 2 for Agatha All Along. I think that's being generous, to be honest. And that's all for me. I've been SnarkyJay. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. For more SnarkyJay, be sure to check me out on Instagram. And if you'd like to support me, this channel, and my content creation, do check out and consider subscribing to my Patreon for exclusive photo shoot sets and cosplay content. I will add links to all of those in the description below. And let me know your thoughts on episodes 1 and 2 of Agatha All Along in the comments below.